Could you please identify yourselves?
Bobby Fan.
Senator Williams.
Other board members, could you please identify yourselves?
Tom Burgunder.
Emma Schuker.
The minutes from the October 16, 2025 meeting of this committee has been circulated. Unless anyone have any questions or corrections, I would like to ask for a motion. Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 We would now hear a presentation from Emily Provencio, who will update the committee on the fiscal year 2025 annual service report.
Everybody, I'm Emily Provencio, Manager of Service Development. I'll just give you an overview of the annual service report from fiscal year 25, which is from July 2024 until June 2025. This report evaluates PRT's service performance against board adopted service standards. And it looks at things like ridership, crowding, on-time performance, and out-of-service rate. And also a Title VI analysis and performance of minority and non-minority routes, low-income and non-low-income. So ridership year over year, total ridership is 37,243,401, and ridership just slightly declined for bus, less than a percentage. Light rail declined in ridership by 8.5%, and paratransit declined by 8.3%. The light rail ridership was adversely impacted by all of the capital projects that were done to improve light rail, like the downtown Flint and the Mount Washington tunnel. So that affected service a little bit this year. Ridership increased on the Monongahela, inclined by 7.4%. Did want to mention year over year increase in spring. So Q3 and Q4 in 2025. So bus ridership actually grew in Q3 and Q4 in the spring from January all the way to June. There's a little bit of a typo here on the chart, and we're going to fix that. So like I said, the average year over year, month to month ridership did increase year over year from January to June. And we looked at a few reasons why those patterns may exist. Maybe an increase in students taking bus, maybe return to office policies or increasing commutes. So those are just some ideas when we look at specific routes and why the bus ridership is increasing so greatly. The cost per passenger served by mode. So paratransit costs increased a little bit due to having slightly lower ridership. That's the top line shown on the chart in purple. Light rail cost per rider increased due to the rail projects. They required additional service hours due to all the detours and temporary services that were required to provide that coverage during the construction. And ridership slightly decreased. So that's what accounts for the slightly higher cost per rider. And then the bus and the incline cost per rider remained steady. On-time performance, the light rail improved year over year. We did build all of those detours into the schedule. So I think that's how we were able to maintain such reliable service on-time performance wise. And then the bus remained steady year over year at 66%. Both of those remain below the service standard. So we are going to keep working to improve that in fiscal year 2026. Crowding was down in fiscal year 2025 to 1.1% of trips. And in fiscal year 2024, it was 1.4. So a slight decline there, which is a good thing to alleviate crowding in our service. PRT improved the use of our 60-foot buses. So really what we did was we monitored their use at certain times of day. So at the times of day when we see the highest crowding, we want to ensure that we're using those 60-foot articulated buses on those routes to alleviate the crowding. We also increased in a cost neutral way, some service on a few routes that use 40-foot buses, which we have more availability for buses. So we tried to increase service in a cost neutral way on certain routes using 40s that are experiencing crowding, like the 54 and 75. We had an adverse Title VI finding for crowding on both minority and low income routes. So again, that's going to be a major focus area for fiscal year 2026 service improvements. Our out of service rate, this is a big success story. So through robust hiring, and congratulations to HR for doing all that robust hiring. Great job, because we have hired ourselves out of the bus operator shortage. We have kind of surpassed the attrition rate for bus operators, and we're able to put the service out on the streets that we've scheduled. So our out of service rate significantly improved year over year. You'll see it on all the way on the right. It's all the way down to 0.3%, which is a great improvement year over year, which means we're able to deliver the service that we're scheduling. So looking ahead for fiscal year 2026, I've mentioned a few areas that we're going to focus on. We're really targeting service improvements where we've not met our service standards, particularly continuing to improve on time performance. That's a key target area. Also, crowding. We've made a little bit of progress year over year. We're going to keep trying to make that progress, targeting those routes where we have crowding on articulated buses, making sure we're using those 60-foot articulated buses for those crowded trips, and increasing service hours in a cost neutral way where we can to target that crowding and alleviate that. And PRT continues to advance some of our major projects like Next Transit Downtown, which we made a big significant effort to implement Next Transit Downtown this past year. We're going to keep doing that, as well as PRTX University line construction and our bus line redesign planning project. PRT will update its service standards as well in fiscal year 2026 to improve service quality and reliability. We're looking to fill gaps where existing standards are no longer relevant and they're lacking, and just better adapt to the changing transit demand with our service standards. So we're excited to take a look at improving those, updating those. And I don't know if there's any questions, but that's the end of my slides.
Fantastic. Do any committee members have any questions?
Hi, yes, this is Bobby. In looking at the goals, if it's possible to go back to that slide, I'm curious why one of the goals doesn't include ridership growth. We saw in this presentation that ridership has decreased across all different modes. So, for example, with on-time performance, if there's a goal of on-time performance without ridership growth, then the most on-time bus is the one that isn't scheduled at all, or isn't carrying anyone. So I'm wondering about that.
That's a really good question. And I forgot to mention that our annual service report is published online today. You can go read it yourself and dig in deeper. One of the themes that you'll see throughout the entire report is that we are focusing on ridership growth, and we're really excited to see that ridership growth in Q3 and Q4. We really hope that that continues. And so we're evaluating that right now in fiscal year 2026. And we're hoping to see that continuous ridership growth now that we've kind of solved, I wouldn't say solved, now that we've improved on out of service, our service is more reliable. So we're hoping that our riders we'll build that trust with our riders back, we'll gain them back, we'll begin to grow in our ridership in fiscal year 2026. So my apologies, it's not on the slide here, but if you do read the annual service report, you'll see that ridership growth is a main goal throughout the entire report.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Many other board members have.
All right, thank you.
I have a comment. Just
Okay.
wanted to say, great job, HR. I think that was great.
Thank you. Yes.
Now we will hear a presentation from Amy Silverman.
Thank you. Good morning, board members. And everyone else. I'm Amy Silverman, the Chief Development Officer. I'm going to provide our quarterly update on the University Line Bus Rapid Transit project. So first, beginning with construction. So again, our construction on this project is ongoing. We have it split into two phases. So the downtown phase is at substantial completion. We finished that over the summer. There are still some punch list items, which is typical in the world of construction, that we've wrapped everything, major up, the stations are open, the riders are using the stations, the buses are traveling on the bus lanes. But we still have some minor tweaks and things, both things that were on the original list to get done, as well as things that we find after the fact, after construction's completed, that need to be tweaked. So still working on those. We did have Market Square Station closed for about 9 days a couple weeks ago for a stormwater issue. That is now open. So everything in downtown is open and running. It's great. And I do have an update on that in coming slide too. Our phase 2 of construction is at about 20% completion, maybe a smidge more than that. Uptown and Oakland are both part of phase 2. They remain under construction in several different areas, and that will continue. It'll slow slightly throughout the winter. Of course, there are fewer things we can get done in the winter months, but they will continue. Both mostly with subsurface work still, so utilities, drainage, etc., as we're getting ready to build out those new stations and add our new bus lanes. So that's exciting. One major update on the project that we will see potentially between now and our next board meeting, since we don't meet in December, but certainly by February, is that our contraflow or backwards running bus lane on 5th Avenue in Oakland is going to be beginning to be under construction. So we will cease to use the contraflow lane formally with our February service changes for all of the bus routes that use that lane outbound on 5th Avenue. So currently today, all of our buses run on 5th Avenue inbound through Oakland, and they are split when they run outbound through Oakland. About half of them run on 5th Avenue in its contraflow lane, and the other half run on 4th Avenue. So beginning with our February service changes, potentially earlier than that as a detour if needed, we will move all buses over to 4th Avenue outbound. And the contraflow lane ultimately is going to become a two-way protected bicycle facility through Oakland. So we will be beginning the subsurface and curb and other work to begin preparation for that new bicycle facility. So one update that we have been asked by stakeholders a few times about is to keep an eye on how, now that our downtown phase of construction is done, how is that impacting our travel times? And so I have a chart on the graph here that shows the time for a bus, actually including Oakland and Uptown as well, because it's much easier for us to look at data from time points. So this starts at the Atwood Station time point, which is on 5th Avenue in the center of Oakland, and runs all through Uptown into downtown, around the downtown loop, back through Uptown, and then back to in Oakland on the outbound direction. That loop, if we look at that travel time on average for our buses before we began construction, was 34 minutes. In 2024, these are all using August data, just a sample for this time around, since August was our first full month of having the downtown loop open. In August 2024, that was also 34 minutes, and that was while downtown was under construction. So our buses were detouring during construction, but that means on average, the detour wasn't slowing us down in downtown too much, which is good. Now that the downtown component is open, our running time is at 32 minutes, so 2 minutes faster. So we're moving in the right direction. However, I'll caveat that we still have Uptown and Oakland now under construction. So this is not a clean data set. This is not a pre and post data set. This is a sort of muddy middle data set. But I did just want to provide the update because it is at least trending in a positive direction. We're excited about that. We're excited to see what the ultimate average is post construction when everything is done and everything is open. Of course, expect that number to continue to go down. So I wouldn't say this is a definite trend, but at least a positive thing that we'll continue to keep an eye on, and we'll have it do an annual update again with our quarterly update next fall. I believe that is all I have for BRT. Not taking any questions.
Do any committee members have any questions? Brandon? Any board members? Other board members? Yes.
All right, thanks so much.
Next one, we will hear a presentation from Ron McMahon.
Hi all, my name is Ryan McMahon. I am the senior planner for transit oriented communities, and today I'm going to be presenting on St. Anne and Bethel Village station area plans. So just a quick, very brief agenda. We'll go over the program and project itself. And then we'll go over the design for St. Anne Station as well as Bethel Village Station. And then I have some next steps and if anyone has any questions. So St. Anne and Bethel Village are done under our LRAP program. LRAP is our light rail accessibility program, which was called for during our next transit 2021 long range plan to make more of our stations on the light rail ADA accessible. And so we began this project last year, and the project is starting with St. Anne and Bethel Village, but funding came from the FTA All Stations Accessibility Program, ASAP, very fun acronym, to help address these problems. And the funding for ASAP is through construction. So these station updates that are made on our property are fully funded through construction and will be impacted by our overall funding situation. So St. Anne and Bethel Village stations are on the red line. St. Anne is in Castle Shannon, and Bethel Village is in Bethel Park. These plans that I'm going to be showing to you is 10% conceptual design with a focus on ADA accessibility. And we're also going to look at additional accessible improvements to the station area that aren't explicitly for ADA compatibility. So we did a pretty extensive engagement for these two stations. We had a stakeholder committee that we met with several times for the two station areas. We did 2 full public virtual meetings, as well as several pop-ups where we went to go meet community members where they were. And we also have an online presence via Engage. We also were able to make a video showing the proposed upgrades to the station and explain the LRAP program. So that's pretty fun if you want to check it out on the LRAP Engage page. So for St. Anne Station, this is just some photos of the existing conditions at the stations. Overall, what these are showing is falling and cracking concrete, unsafe pedestrian crossing over the light rail tracks, low-level platforms with no kind of truncated domes or tactile paving, and very few amenities. So this is just showing some of the things that we wanted to address in the station area plan. This is just a map of the station area, looking northbound inbound on the red line, is Willow and Overbrook stations, and outbound is Smith Road and Washington Junction. Near the station itself, we have the Castle Ridge Apartments, which just kind of show a precedent for higher density construction of residences. We also have the St. Anne Park and Ride, which is pretty well used, but is PRT property. And then running along the red line in this section is the Sawmill Run Creek, the waterway, not the boulevard. So we are taking that into account as well when we design the station not to impact the waterway at all. This is the area recommended improvements both on and off of our property. Number 1 shows the improved high platform, which we will show in a little bit more detail in the next slide. Number 2 shows the new arrival plaza that will have amenities. Number 3 is showing improved crosswalk over the rail line where there's also vehicular crossing. Number 4 is showing an improved Willow and Rockwood pedestrian intersection for people coming from the Park and Ride, as well as number 5 is improved and widened Rockwood Ave sidewalk for people coming from the Park and Ride. Number 7 is looking at potential TOD, transit-oriented development on our property. This is very preliminary in this stage. We're just kind of like eyeing the site to see if it would be feasible to do some transit-oriented development there, but that is the extent to which we looked at it in this project. And then number 8, we are looking to impact the limits on Sawmill Run Creek. The station is like really right against it. There's a concrete wall that runs right to the creek. So this rendering is just zooming into the station area a little bit more. Number 1 and number 2, you can see the high platform, the high level platforms, which will allow level porting onto our rail cars, as well as improved amenities on the platforms, including signage, seating, real-time updates, and new canopies. Number 3 is our entry plaza, which will have signage as well as other amenities, including a ticket vending machine and possibly space for bike racks or other amenities like that. Number 4 shows an upgraded crossing, rail crossing, to make it safer for pedestrians and vehicles. Number 5 is an area that we're showing for improved landscaping, to both improve stormwater drainage as well as allow for some privacy to the adjacent private residences that are against the station. And then number 6, again, always pulling out Sawmill Run, to make sure that we are constantly reminded not to, get in its way. Lastly, for St. Anne Station, this is just a rendering looking at the inbound and outbound platforms from Rockwood Ave, showing some of those new signage and new amenities, as well as tactile paving. So that was St. Anne Station, and now I'll go over Bethel Village Station, which had many similar improvements, but also several site-specific design elements. So these are some photographs showing existing conditions at Bethel Village Station. Again, kind of not the best status of the concrete in the station area. Poor, kind of out-of-date amenities. A vehicular crossing that's no longer used it's mostly for PRT access that we no longer really use. There's a way to redesign that to be pedestrian oriented. And then on the far right, there is an image of a informal pedestrian pathway up the very steep hillside from Bethel Village Station to Alicia Drive, where there is a Giant Eagle Market District, which is very unsafe, but still very much used by station riders. That we surveyed the station and found that most people do walk up this hillside to go to the Giant Eagle. So clearly very unsafe and a huge accessibility issue. So just looking at the Bethel Village Station, inbound, you have Hillcrest Station, which is a low-level stop, and outbound, you have South Hills Village and the South Hill Village Rail Center, as well as the mall. The Giant Eagle Market District, which is again up the hill, as well as a UPMC outpatient center, which has a pedestrian path connecting to the existing Bethel Village Station. So again, this is a station area plan, which looks at improvements both on and off our property. Number 1 is a center island platform. So the platform will serve both inbound and outbound rail cars, which is a little bit more efficient. We use a little bit less concrete than building 2 platforms. Number 2 shows improved plaza area with a pedestrian plaza on either side of the rail, one side on the residential side for drop off, and one plaza on the more pedestrian oriented side by the baseball field. Number 4 shows an existing pathway over towards the UPMC baseball field, as well as the UPMC outpatient center. It's just, it's very bare bones right now. So we think there's some lighting and wayfinding improvements there, as well as improvements through the parking lot to the outpatient center. Number 5 also shows improvement to stormwater drainage down that steep hillside, and we'll implement some landscaping there as well. Zooming in, this is an aerial rendering of the station area. Number 1 again shows that high level platform, the center island platform for both inbound and outbound rail, and that'll have seating, tactile paving, signage, and real-time updates. Number 2 shows the ramp up to the platform itself. Number 3 shows the reoriented pedestrian crossing across the rail lines, just making a shorter pathway for pedestrians to cross over. Number 4 and number 5 are showing those entry plazas again, with amenities such as signage, bike racks, ticket vending machines. Number 6 shows a quite intricate ramp up the hillside to the Bethel to Alicia Drive and the Giant Eagle that's up at the top of the hill. That is outside of our property, but we are working with and in coordination with property owners in the area to see if we can negotiate something like this being built. And number 7 just shows the pathway that feeds off to the baseball fields and to the UPMC outpatient center. This is a view of the platform, both inbound and outbound, looking outbound, showing just some of those amenities, the new canopy, the new tactile paving, the new high platform station. And we hope that these stations increase ridership and are more usable for the people who use them today. For our next steps, we're going to continue looking for ADA improvements, similar processes to these along the red lines. And we are going to work with engineering to complete design and construct these stations. And then we are going to continue to work and support partners that are landowners and stakeholders in the area to implement proposed elements off of PRT property. Thank you.
Do any members of this committee have any questions?
Yeah, I have a quick question. For the St. Anne station area, there is a lot you said could be acceptable for transit-oriented development. What are some examples of transit?
So some examples, one project that we're looking forward to, particularly at ERT, is our Dormont Junction TOD that we have begun solicitation for. Other examples of transit-oriented development, you might say the areas around East Liberty Station for transit-oriented development. Those were done not necessarily with affordability mindset. So anything we do in the future will look at housing affordability. It usually just means an increase of density around transit stations, as well as an increase of use types and an increase of amenities to help connect first and last mile.
So you're looking at primarily housing, if there's enough space.
Primarily housing, yeah.
Retail, convenience.
Yeah, I mean, retail, if it makes sense, of course, we do market analyses and see what is feasible. But primarily an increase in density of housing, but also looking at an increase of types of uses. That is a good question. Engineering has a long laundry list of things to do. So first come the safety critical projects, obviously. I would say we're going to be sending it over to engineering soon. I don't know when construction would happen. 3 or 4 years.
Do any other board members have any questions?
Yes, this is Bobby. This is not necessarily directly related to the presentation. I think, again, just referring to the first service update report where we saw a significant decline with, all the various construction projects and changes happening with light rail. I'm wondering if there's a broader update with light rail, particularly, again, the last meeting we had an update around the Mount Washington tunnel. I'm wondering when there's a public deadline, I guess, a schedule for riders to understand when that service will return. And if there's, I know, these ADA improvements are exciting. Like I'm happy that there's this funding to, upgrade these stations. And so, but also thinking about the impact that construction has had, on ridership so far. If there's sort of thought about the timeline of communication.
Yes, it's Amy again. Just to summarize, Bobby, you were specifically asking about the tunnel, broadly, but also the tunnel. So,
Yes.
yes, okay. So yes, the tunnel we are continuing to actively work on. We still are looking at likely a few weeks, at least, before reopening. And we'll continue to ensure that, our communications team is providing as much information as we have. We don't want to put out something until we really know, what a date might be. But it is not in the next week or two. So we will continue to talk with them and make sure that as soon as we have good information that we can share to provide that update, that we are doing so that riders are prepared for when that change happens. And then, more broadly, to just context on ridership and light rail and projects, we do have a lot going on in the world of light rail. This is a very happy, exciting project in the world of light rail, but we also have lots of state of good repair projects going on and that need to continue going on in light rail. Light rail is particularly challenging to do infrastructure on because it is a fixed system that our people need to get around on, unlike a bus, which can make a right turn and go around a closure. Our light rail system, of course, cannot do that. So it is much more challenging. We do meet monthly with a large internal group to look at all projects that are impacting service and how we are impacting riders and service to make sure to the greatest extent possible, we are not overburdening our riders with change. However, we do have a system that is very much in need of a lot of state of good repair and a lot of capital investment that has not been invested in over the last few decades. And so I wish I could say that, 2026 will be a year of everything just being open and wonderful and perfect, but that is not our reality. It's probably not our reality at any point in the coming few years. We do need more capital investment in the system to get it to a place where it is more reliable and less under construction. So that is our goal. And we are meeting every month to very specifically talk about those rider impacts to minimize them to the greatest extent. I hope that
Great, thank you.
answered this question.
Yes,
Sure.
definitely.
Any other questions? Thank you. If not, that ends this, the agenda for this committee today. Now, please have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting is adjourned.
Hi, everybody. At the outset of the Finance Committee meeting, I just want to apologize if you guys can hear the complaining child in the background. But I'd like to call this month's the Finance Committee meeting to order. Can members of the Finance Committee please identify themselves?
Tom Burgunder.
Senator Williams.
Other board members?
Bobby Fan.
Chris Gonzalez.
Stephanie Clark.
Jen Liptak. I also want to note I was on for the prior meeting. I just didn't want to interrupt.
The minutes of our last Finance Committee meeting in October have been circulated. Unless there are there's any discussion or corrections to those minutes, I would like to move that they be approved. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, minutes approved. Now we're going to hear a review of October's financial statements from Dominica Brown.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and other committee and board members. For the month of October, this first chart just shows the passenger revenues, and we are seeing an increase slightly for the month of October. Still very close to the budgeted amount, just about $77,000 below what was budgeted. And revenues for the month of October are about $100,000 above what was budgeted, and that is because of interest income exceeding budgeted amounts. Expenses for the month of October are about $3.5 million below budgeted, and that is due to vacancies, lower wages and benefits compared to budgeted amounts. Subsidies for the month of October are about $600,000 below budgeted, and that is primarily due to vehicle overhaul invoicing. Revenues for the month of October are $1.1 million above budgeted. I'm sorry, for the year to date October. And that again is due to higher interest income compared to last year. It's also higher again due to interest income and higher advertising revenue. Expenses for the year to date October are about $19 million below budgeted, again due to vacancies, primarily, and then other expenses and purchase services. Compared to last year, expenses are about $3.1 million higher. And that is primarily due to increased employee benefits, pension, as well as healthcare costs. Subsidies for the year to date October are lower than budgeted by about $1.6 million. But compared to last year, about $52.2 million higher, and that is primarily due to minor differences with state and our operating reserves for the month of October began at $336.7 million. There were inflows of $16.6 million and outflows of $48.9 million, with the month ending having a balance of $304.7 million in reserves. And that is all that I have for the finance review. Are there any questions?
I have a question. Do we usually observe such a drawdown on the reserves from month to month?
Not usually, no. But as I mentioned previously, there are some timing differences with our invoicing for our state support, and so because of that, we are using reserves. We do expect to see inflows on that cash very soon, though, so it'll replenish some reserves.
So was that impacted by the budget crisis in Harrisburg?
No, it's more so impacted by agreements that we're working on getting put in place with the state.
This is
Any
Senator
other-
Williams. I have a. Hi.
Sorry, go ahead,
The. Oh, thank you so much. The slide on the, I'm trying to bring it up myself, on the less on wages and benefits and other staff expenses, is that due to vacancies, or can you explain the?
Yes, so it is due to vacancies. We budget for expecting that positions will be filled, so the difference is primarily due to vacancies.
Are those ones we expect to be filled in the near term?
So we are hiring currently. So yes, many of those positions could become filled. But however, just with regular attrition and then some positions that are more difficult to fill, we do usually see that variance.
Okay, thank you so much.
And right, and leading up until now, we did have a hiring freeze. So that is a lot of what we're seeing. So
I was thinking that probably had something to do with it. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, if there are no more questions, that concludes the Finance Committee meeting for today. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Hearing a motion in a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, meeting adjourned.
Good morning, Madam Chair, committee and board members. I would like to call to order the Performance Oversight Committee. Will other committee members please identify yourselves? Will other board members please identify yourselves?
Tom Bergen here. Chris
Bobby
Purcell.
Shan.
Jan
Senator
Liptown?
Williams.
Emma Schuker.
The minutes of the October 16th, 2025 Performance Oversight Committee meeting have been circulated. If there are no questions, I ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Is there a second? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes approved. We will now have proposed resolutions presented by Anna Marie McKibben, but starting with an ordinance.
Thank you, and good morning, committee member. My name is Anne Marie McKibben. I'm one of the procurement managers that works with Justin Cava, who is a really good sport about being in the pictures that I make him take. Today I have 3 items for your consideration. The first one is our unleaded gasoline, which is utilized by our non-revenue fleet and our maintenance equipment. We do have pumps at each of our locations, and in this picture here, it's a little hard to see, but Justin is at a gas pump with one of our non-revenue vehicles at our Manchester location. While it is not as heavily consumed as our diesel fuel, we still do use an estimated 500,000 gallons per year on the unleaded gasoline. For this solicitation, we notified 179 suppliers of the bid opportunity. 7 suppliers accepted the invitation and 6 bids were received. It is a recommendation that a contract be awarded to Petroleum Traders Corporation in the estimated amount of $1,095,700 over a 2-year period with no renewal options. The second item I have for your consideration is the on-call tree removal and trimming service. For this, the contractor is required to utilize heavy equipment to remove fallen tree limbs across various PRT locations, including our park and ride lots, our busways, and the light rail system. Additionally, the contractor is required to plant trees over 55 feet tall and cut and remove limbs over energized catenary lines during revenue service. So in that first slide with the pictures there, the one on the left, you can see the tree is down on the overhead catenary lines on the light rail system. It's really hard to see in the picture on the right, but in the middle, there is a person in an orange suit who is at the very top of that tree, removing branches over power lines. And that third picture there is just another image of a tree down over our rail system. So for this solicitation, 234 suppliers were notified of the bid opportunity. 3 suppliers accepted the invitation and 3 bids were received. It is a recommendation that a contract be awarded to Tree Works LLC in the estimated amount of $305,750. And this would be a 3-year period with no renewal options. And the third and final item I have for your consideration today is the environmental sampling, testing, and reporting. For this contract, the supplier is required to provide these services in support of various environmental related permits and ongoing compliance activities across various PRT locations. Some of these services include stormwater and wastewater testing, as well as underground and above ground storage tank systems. A little hard to see here, but Justin is standing on top of one of our underground storage tanks at our Manchester location. So it's in between 2 buses there, but that is over top of one of the tanks that holds the antifreeze that we use in the maintenance of the box. So for the solicitation, 578 suppliers were notified of the bid opportunity. 8 suppliers accepted the invitation and 7 bids were received. It is the recommendation that a contract be awarded to EnviroTrack Ltd. in the estimated amount of $224,215. And again, this is a 3-year period with no renewal options. Subject to any questions, I respectfully request that these bids be taken to the full board for approval.
Do any board members have questions? If not, do I have a motion to move this to the full board?
So moved.
Second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved. Thank you. We will now have a presentation by Greg O'Hare on the authorization to enter into an agreement to provide on-call environmental services.
Good morning. This resolution seeks authorization to enter into an agreement to provide environmental consulting services. The scope of services generally consists of permit assistance, site investigations, regulatory support, environmental manual updates, source reduction strategies, and emergency response. 3 proposals were received on September 12, 2025 for RFP 25-32. Work will be issued on task order basis as needed by PRT. The term is for a 4-year term plus 1 additional option period at PRT discretion. The Collective Efforts LLC is the highest rated firm. And the contract value is not to exceed of $2,200,000. Pending any questions, I respectfully request the committee move the resolution to the full board for consideration.
Do any board members have questions? Hearing none, do I have a
Yes, ma'am, that is correct.
Excellent.
They do, yes.
Do any of the board have questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to move this to the full board?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Approved. Thank you. We will now have the annual Pennsylvania Department of Transportation SSOA presentation by PennDOT.
Good morning, Chair and committee members and other board members and members of the public. So just briefly, just make a brief introduction here. So as you indicated, for our newer members, every year, typically in November, our PennDOT State Safety Oversight Agency representatives will come in and present to the Performance Oversight Committee to provide the board an overview, again, particularly for newer members as to what SSOA's functions are, and then kind of a year in review on their work, overseeing PRT. And it is really it is oversight, but it is really a collaborative effort between our PennDOT team and our PRT team, our safety folks and various management on the operations side and engineering side. So with that very brief introduction, I just want to welcome Elizabeth Benini, who's our State Safety Oversight Director, and Michael Sigaki, who is our State Safety Oversight Regional Administrator, to present to the committee. Thank you.
Welcome.
How is everyone? Thank you for having me again. My name is Elizabeth Benini. I am PennDOT State Safety Oversight Director, and we do this annually, like Mike said. And first, on behalf of Secretary Kara, Deputy Secretary Vajika, and the SSOA staff, thank you so much for having us. It's really important for us to come before the PRT board and talk to you about what we do, what we're seeing, and where we are headed in our oversight activities of safety. And thank you, Councilor Mike, for Chief. We're going to be spending the day with them later on. We have a meeting with the executive team. And then we've also been doing an SSO, State Safety Oversight 101. And we've been driving who we are, what we do throughout the entire organization. So we don't just stay at the executive level, but we're diving deeper into the organization. So we'll talk a little bit about what we're doing. And thank you for having us for those activities as well. Before we get into our agenda, I just wanted to tell you about some of the changes that have been going on in state safety oversight and the programmatic level. So in 2024, we had state legislation passed, really to help bolster what was already passed in state legislation for our authority for state safety oversight. As a result, we became an independent office within the DOT, within PennDOT. So we are now an office within PennDOT, and we have some additional positions. This is the last time we spoke to you on a programmatic level. So Mike has been bumped up to, and the other Mike in Philadelphia has been bumped up to a regional administrator position. And then he will be getting one position in Pittsburgh. And then we'll also have 2 additional positions that will be joining us in Philadelphia. Hopefully by the end of the year, but we'll see. These are top positions to fill. Right now, like as of today, we're about 20 people in the State Safety Oversight Agency, and that's a combination of PennDOT employees and our consultant staff with transportation resource associates that we've been working with for over 20 years doing state safety oversight. So I am going to soon turn things over to Mike, but we'll just talk to you about, again, a recap of what we've been doing, some of the changes, additional technical changes in our program standards, capital projects that we've been overseeing at PRT, and I hear we'll be overseeing some more that I've heard about today. An FTA triennial audit, and I'll talk to you a little bit about that, and then where are those areas for 2026. So here's our hierarchy. The Federal Transit Administration oversees PennDOT, state safety oversight. We do the oversight of the rail transit agency, so we are just rail transit. So we have SEPTA in Philadelphia and 5 of their rail lines. We have your T and your incline plane in Pittsburgh, and then we have the incline plane in Johnstown. Safety is the responsibility of the rail transit agency. We are oversight. So we are that extra set of eyes, ears, and authority if we don't see things headed in the right direction. Again, like Mike said, we work very collaboratively with all of our transit agencies because we want to be seen as a value add and not just someone to be scared of, right? We are the oversight authority. We want to work with our rail transit agencies that we oversee. I will say, as Mike goes through this presentation, what I would like the board to hear about is what is your role also in safety, right? What is your role? What is the information that you're given from the safety staff, from SF? And if there's any additional information that you would like to keep from us, please reach out, because we're happy to coordinate with you more. That would be great. So here's some of our responsibilities. Again, we conduct audits. We conduct those audits on a triennial cycle. That does not mean that we come in once every 3 years to do an audit in Pennsylvania. We break those triennial audits over a 3-year period. So we conduct probably 12 or so full audits just at PRT every single year. So we get to year 3 where we've done a full audit of your entire public transportation agency safety plan. Mike will tell you about some of the corrective action plans that are ongoing and where you are with those. But those are things that either come out of audits or inspections. Those are the corrective actions that PRT is putting into action to make any safety corrections that they need to. There's an internal safety audit program that Bert and his staff have. So that is, we oversee that, but that's something that they implement because again, PRT is responsible for safety and they're overseeing directly all of that safety as well. Do a lot of reporting to FTA. We have our program standard that is taking the federal legislation and regulation and narrowing it down to Pennsylvania and what our expectations are in Pennsylvania. So that's on our website and that's our program standard. We do event investigation, security emergency preparedness planning. Again, we look at your capital projects and we are looking at doing safety certifications on those. And there's a lot that goes into putting a project into revenue service prior to us looking at it and ensuring that it is safe to go into revenue service. And lately, a new regulation from the FTA is risk-based inspections. And those risk-based inspections are based on data and information that we get from PRT. So Mike will get into more of the details on what we've been doing over the course of the year with each of those. And then I'll join you at the end. Here you go.
All right, thank you, everyone. As Beth was saying, I'm gonna cover some of the recaps for 2025. Under the SSO portion, conducted 5 triennial audits, performed 11 inspections of PRTs, RTO, rail traffic operations. Also developed a new cap management software system to make it a little bit easier to submit caps, get caps approved, and get them closed out. We're also in process right now of reviewing PRT submitted RWP manual. We're providing feedback to that. The deadline for that is actually going to be December 2nd. So we're under a crunch to get that done, but that's something that's mandated by the FTA. Recap for PRT's initiatives this year. There were 16 internal audits conducted. As of the 3rd, 31 total safety events. As of the 3rd also, and PRT closed 13 corrective action plans. They also had timely submission or all their RBI information that they have to provide to us, different frequencies. Triennial audits. The SSO basically piloted in 225, combining elements for the audits to make it more efficient. And when you have the SME here in town, we want to make the best of their time. We want to make them more streamlined and more efficient. So we combine some of the audits. We have operations and training audit, maintenance training audit, emergency preparedness and TVA, the non-incline and vertical transportation audit, and also the power and safety audits. Now, out of those audits, there were.
I just have a quick question.
Yes.
The slide before, a corrective action plan, is that a result or requirement of a safety event?
There could be several reasons for a corrective action plan. Corrective action plans come out of either an identified hazard, unacceptable identified hazard, a safety event, quite frankly, the result of an audit, whether it's internal or whether it's an SSOA audit or an RBI inspection. So it's something you identify that's in non-compliance, a corrective action plan is then put into place. It's submitted to SSO, SSO reviews it, approves it, and then they get to doing the work, taking mitigating steps to eliminate that hazard. Once it's done, they submit it to us for closure. SSOA comes in, verifies, all right, great, you did X, Y, Z, you eliminated a hazard, we're good and close.
Is there a requirement, is there a criteria in place to determine whether or not safety event requires a corrective action?
It will depend on the severity of the hazard.
There's criteria in place.
Yes, yes. Thanks. Does that answer your question? All right, thank you. Okay, so the internal PRT, as I said, conducts internal rail audits also. Process of that is they notify us 30 days in advance of the audit, and they've been on time 100% throughout the year, giving us that 30-day notification. There's been 16 internal audits completed as of the 3rd, and those are audits that PRT safety, system safety, and internal audit also conduct. 14 of those audits have been attended by the SSOA. The reports at the end of the audit, a report is supposed to be submitted to the SSOA within 45 days of the audit's conclusion. PRT's been on time for 85% of those. 85% again has been submitted on time. 4 CAPS, corrective action plans, that resulted from PRT's internal audits. 2 came from the internal audit department, and 2 were identified and came from system safety department. A risk-based inspection program, risk-based inspection program. PennDOT has been approved in January of 14. The FTA approved our risk-based inspection program. It was a special directive that came out of the FTA for all SSOs. It covered transit agencies. PennDOT has submitted the implementation materials to the FTA. Within 12 months of the fleet date, we have to show 6 months of this program implementation by the deadline, which will be January 14th, 2026. So PRT, as I said before, PRT has been very timely in submitting these, all the data that's required, monthly, quarterly, annually. And there have been 4 RBIs conducted, or there are to be 4 RBIs conducted at PRT annually. 2 of them have to be announced inspections, and 2 have to be unannounced inspections. They're data-driven, risk-based for prioritization of inspection topics. The ones that were conducted this year so far, We've had one, unannounced on the Mont Incline. An unannounced inspection of the derailment, events in the yard. An announced inspection of pre-trip inspections and an announced inspection of busway trespassing. A little note on that one does not count towards the floor that FTA requires because it's not on a real fixed guide. So we threw an extra one in there, but we're going to be doing another one towards the end of this year. A little background on a pre-trip inspection RPI. During a triennial audit, we were of PRT operations and operation training. There was concern regarding the inconsistencies in pre-trip inspections that were being conducted. We conducted an RBI between the August 12th and August 14th, 2025. Spent time out in the yard observing pre-trip inspections. Following the RBI inspections, we issued a letter to PRT directly following that concerning some immediate safety concerns that we had that needed promptly addressed. Two of the biggest things were none of the operators were really compliant with the entire pre-trip inspection procedures as documented under SOP 300.1. Also, there was no real documentation, internal documentation, that there was oversight observing these pre-trip inspections by PRT. But immediately, PRT began to take action to mitigate these situations by starting to have road operations perform random checks of operator compliance. The instruction department installed laminated guides in each cab of the LRV. So the operators could come in, pull their I called it a cheat sheet, but that wasn't good. It's going to be a guide. It was a guide basically, because some of the operators didn't like the cheat sheet version. So they'd have their guide and they could use that guide, just follow it. And if they followed that guide, they would do 100% compliant pre-trip inspection. So that's definitely helping. Provided refresher training to operators upon request or as needed. And also the cutout seals, a lot of them were missing. So there's a campaign enacted to replace all the cutout seals with both cabs of the LRVs. And they adjusted the record keeping practices as far as cutout tabs and CDR car efficiency report cards. Now let's get into some of the caps, 2024, 2025. Most of the caps you see were identified by the SSOA, either through safety audits, safety and security audits, risk-based inspections. So we had 15 in 25, and there were 11 of them closed already in 2025. Out of these also, there are DIHIs that are issued by state safety oversight, which is a data and information for hazard identification. Most of them, I want to point out, most of them either had low or non-serious medium ratings by PRT, none of which resulted in any caps. And you'll see in this pie chart again, it just shows you where the caps, how they were identified. So 73% of the caps identified were from through either audits or risk-based inspections from state safety oversight. We had 40% were from safety audits, 20% were from security audits, and 13% came out of the RBI inspections. And again, this just shows you the different breakdowns, what categories the safety events were in. The highest being service disruptions or modifications that resulted from a lot of the incidents out on the Silver Line with overhead entanglements. caps resulting from safety events. Again, we had, one cap resulted from a safety event, which that was, I don't know, up to the silver line. That again, with, entanglements, the overhead, and graph issues. PRT is in a process of installing speed control tags with all the maintenance crossovers. I understand there's 2 in there now. There's gonna be 3 more installed. And we did go out and see and witness some of the tags that were installed there. Slow, it actually slows the LRVs down to 5 miles per hour. And when I watched it, it does exactly that. It slows the LRV down to 5 miles per hour in those areas, which is really important when you have overhead that's crossing over. If you're going further too fast, there's a potential you're going to catch something. If there's a piece of overhead or a splice that's just not right, if you're going through too fast, you're bringing the overhead down. So the 5 mile an hour speed control tag definitely is making a difference out there. The other ones, events, the August derailments. Hate saying that D word, but it's part of the business. 7 yard derailments between August 1st and August 28th. PRT actions, immediately they slowed down the speed of the cars in the yards almost a crawl. Replaced a lot of switches, a lot of track that were involved with the derailments. They increased the switch and track lubrication frequency, I think from monthly to weekly, if I'm not mistaken. And they enlisted the help of ESGO along with WSP for analysis and inspection. So the yard, track conditions, and our vehicles to the wheel conditions. SSO actions, right afterwards, we conducted an RVI. Again, a risk-based inspection of the yard and vehicle conditions. Continuing to monitor the actions that are going on within the car house and the yard and track conditions. And it's being tracked through a cap. P is just a numbering system for the caps. I would be tracking them P25-03. State safety oversight updates. So 49 CFR Report 671 was issued October 2024. Requires that the SSOA approves RWP program by December 2nd, 2025, which is a roadway worker protection program. It's for everybody's sake, basically. It's just a program they wanted to bolster. They wanted to make it more robust, protect everybody that's out there on the railway, whether it be contractors, employees, unfortunately, sometimes pedestrians and workers, any roadway workers. And when I say roadway, I mean track. Issued 2025 program standards, September 30th. PRT, PTAS, and CEAP is due by 11/29/25. Reviewing those. In the electric mass transit vehicle program, that's something that state safety oversight put on last year. We assumed the oversight responsibilities are working through the state required items for the inspections of all the electric mass transit vehicles, trolleys, depending on what your fleet is. I mean, luckily here at PRT, we got LRVs, we got one type of fleet, so it's a lot easier than some other agencies. The program standard updates. Some of the updates from our program standard for this year are the audit results, the audit result nomenclature for PRT audits. They must align with PennDOT state safety oversight audits. So what that means is basically if when we do an audit, we have either finding of non-compliance, the DIHI, which is data information for hazard identification, and observations. We want the audits from PRT whether internal audit or system safety to audit. So when you're reading an audit report, it's all around. They're using the same way, the same nomenclature. Again, the another update in the program standard was the introduction of the electric mass transit vehicle inspection program. And then cap extension requests, something new that any extension request be on 1 year. It's going to require the CSO and the accountable executive or CEO cap signature. Some of the capital projects, we receive quarterly updates from usually Eric Philspeak on PR project statuses. Some of the ones that we're watching now and working with are the automatic trip stop replacement and the filter boards that are going with it, the ATS systems, the RTA display wall, and the Mount Washington Transit Tunnel. We're watching that one because that's part of the CAP 3660. So once that project's completed, we're going to go through and verify that the track's been replaced and it's going to satisfy that cap, so we'll be able to close out that cap 3660. I'm going to turn this part back over to Beth. She can speak a lot better to it than I can, but the FDA triennial audit that was conducted this year that PRT graciously hosted.
No, this is a lot of information. Thank you for bearing with us because we try to present this once a year. So we're giving you a lot of your time. So thank you for the questions. Thank you for your attention. So as I said earlier, the Federal Transit Administration oversights PennDOT's SSOA. And they do that by doing a triennial audit of us, just like we do a triennial audit of PRT. We break our audit up, so in a 3-year cycle, they come once every 4 years. Like Mike said, PRT hosted that. This is I think the first time, right, Bert, that they've come to, at least since I've been around, which I've been around forever. It's been where they've come to Pittsburgh. So thank you for hosting. The information that they were auditing it's from the years 2022 through 2024. So it's things that we may have already changed and things that have already been improved or modified. It doesn't really help, right? They're looking at where we were. To get us a draft report. They gave us some preliminary information and they ask us for a lot of documentation, just like we do to PRT. Posted as that audit comes out. And then we might get
The presentation or camera seems to be frozen.
Yeah, I was wondering if it was just me.
Hey Jen, this is Kathy. We're working on it right now, so just a little
Okay.
delay.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah, something this slide just showing the main camera's not showing. Don't worry about that. Okay. All right, we should be good.
Make sure it's the right place.
Okay.
Make sure it's the correct. Did everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So we were talking about the 2026 focus areas and how the Pennsylvania PennDOT SSOA doesn't just look at PRT exclusively, but we look at the data that PRT provides. Plus, we look at the information that we get from other parts of the state that we oversee, plus what we hear from our counterparts throughout the entire country. Because I'm also the president of our SSO association, so I get a lot of information on a broader scale as well. So our focus areas, we're going to look at PRT's rules compliance checks, and I do want to give her and PRT props for what Mike talked about for the RBI inspection and the immediate response. We're talking about work over the weekends, safety doesn't stop, but there was an immediate response to our safety concerns that we brought to their attention. So again, continued focus on those rules compliance checks. Michael talked about roadway worker protection. The roadway worker protection program from PRT must be approved by us by December 2nd. And PRT has to have all of their training completed for anyone entering into the trackway by December 2nd. So we've been working very diligently with PRT to ensure we're on the right path and we get things approved early so they could proceed with any training that they have to do. Overhead power, there was a letter that just came out from the FTA saying that there's a concerted effort looking at overhead power around the country. We've experienced issues not only at PRT, but at other agencies in Pennsylvania. So we're going to take a very close look at overhead power track inspections. We just did a few years ago, we did a thorough track inspection where we walked every segment of track. But we're going to be doing that again and comparing the information that we got from a few years ago to where things are today. Again, training, and then this is something that came up again in other parts of the state, but we want to look at the training that's being conducted at PRT to make sure it's in line with what should be happening. And then tool calibration, making sure that all of the tools being used to do any safety critical work are calibrated properly and ensuring that that program is in place and is being implemented appropriately. So those are some of our focus areas, and I believe we are. This is not what are there any questions that you have for Mike or for myself?
Do any board members have questions? Thank you. This is very informative. I do have one question, which is when we go back to the derailment that occurred and the corrective action that's happening and saying that SSOA is tracking that. At what point do we know like the effectiveness of that corrective action? Is that just at the point that it gets closed, or is it something that's consistently measured before we understand like the impact and effectiveness to what our response is there?
That's a great question. So the corrective action plan, and Mike explains kind of where those are put together. But they're actually developed by PRT. So you guys say, here's our corrective actions that we're going to take. SSOA, we have to approve those corrective actions, and we monitor that throughout until closure. So as a part of the corrective action plan, what Bert and his staff do is they look at and they identify safety risk rating of where that derailment is. What's the risk of that happening again? What is that safety risk? And they would be the ones identifying per their public transportation agency safety plan, how they develop that safety risk rating. And then they would be looking at how that corrective action plan has changed that safety risk when they submit that cap for our review and approval for closure. So we are looking at it throughout the duration until it gets closed, doing periodic checks. But really their PRT is doing the safety risk ratings, and we're reviewing and overseeing that that's being done, and the information that they're coming up with seems appropriate for the approved PTAS, Public Transportation Agency safety plan. So does that answer your question? Okay. I don't, no, so we're looking at it throughout the. But thank you so much for the question.
The PRT for being very responsive. Do any other board members have questions? All right, well, thank you for that presentation.
Thank you. We appreciate your time.
Thanks for your time.
Unless there are any questions, I ask for a motion to adjourn this committee meeting. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Meeting adjourned.
My name is Tom Bergender. I'd like to call to order the Technology Committee. We've had minutes from the September 18 Technology Committee meeting. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve those minutes. So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any discussions? All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we'd like to entertain an awarding of bids for Anna McKibben from procurement. Oh, I apologize. Sorry. Let's backtrack. Members of the Technology Committee. Christopher Salas. Tom Bergender. Members of the board.
Tia McComb.
Emma Schuker.
Bobby Fan.
Now we're ready for the presentation of the bid.
Thank you and good morning, committee members. I have one item today for your consideration. It is the PRI and auxiliary telephone services. The primary rate interface or PRI lines are a type of digital telephone service that connects PRT's phone system to the public telephone networks and transmits voice over traditional copper phone lines. While I wasn't able to find a picture of copper phone lines to illustrate that for you, I did find you this lovely rotary phone. Nothing says determination like dialing 9. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania Department of General Services Cooperative Purchasing Program has awarded a contract to Verizon Business Services covering PRI and auxiliary phone services. PRT wishes to purchase these phone services under the terms and conditions of the state schedule. It is the recommendation that a contract be awarded under the same terms and conditions of this PADGS contract with Verizon Business Services in the estimated amount of $100,386. And this will be over a 1-year period with no renewal options. So subject to any questions, I respectfully request this item be taken to the board for approval.
Motion.
I just wanted to let everybody know, it appears that the cameras are down, but everybody who's online can still hear you. The camera may not come up, but please feel free to continue listening. You should be able to hear everything that's going on.
We have a motion to carry the resolution to the board. So moved. Second. We hear a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carries. Now we have a presentation concerning the Ready Fair Public Promotion Plan presented by Jim Ritchie.
Good morning. I'm Jim Ritchie. I'm the Chief Communications Officer at PRT. And I'm going to walk through some of the sort of a higher level look at what we can anticipate coming up as we start to propose Ready Fair enhancements that tie to our fare system. This is going to play out over pretty much the next year. So there's no resolution today. I'm here a little bit early just to share sort of at a high level of what you can expect, what we're planning to do and how we're intending to reach our riders. And we'll probably be back, I would guess, maybe in February to update you with a little bit more information right ahead. That would be right in advance of when customers are going to start to experience the changes in our system. So let me go ahead. First of all, what is happening? What is changing? We are enhancing the equipment and the technology that drives our fare programs throughout the entire organization. A really simple way to think about it is the backbone of our fare system over the last decade plus has been the Connect card. Most of our riders use it. It's a smart card and a technology that is going to be phased out over the course of next year. And Ready Fare is the new card that will take its place. Ready Fare is also sort of the umbrella brand of the system. It encompasses both the card and encompasses the Ready to Ride mobile app technology, encompasses the tickets that people use to ride. And so we need to walk our riders and promote publicly what that change is, when it's going to happen. It is a system-wide change. It is not limited to just a fare card. It all changing out equipment that we use, the vending machines that people rely on at our stations. It involves the fare boxes on our vehicles. It involves the change in what the name of the fare instrument is. People are going to have to help them adjust to that. The program is not my program. I just want to point that out. This is really the change is really being driven by updates to the technologies and equipment that drive all of that fare technology for us. I'm really presenting more the public communications and the promotional aspects of the program today. As I mentioned, it's not happening overnight. It's not something that's happening tomorrow. It's not going to happen in a week's time. It's going to be phased in. Riders are really going to start hearing from us January, and over those next 2 months. There's going to be a lot of visibility about this publicly in a lot of different ways. It is an enhancement to our system. It provides a lot of new opportunities for our riders. Makes the fare process simpler. It gives people more opportunities to pay as they money. I think those are all marketable. They should entice people who find these to be obstacles in their riding on our system, which is transit. Some of the key benefits that will be coming out in the course of the next year, more tangible things. One is people can pay with a credit card. Once this is in place, you can use your credit card, tap it on the vehicle, and pay right off your card. You can use Apple Pay, you can use Google Wallet. That won't be one of the enhancements that comes out right away, right out of the gate, but it will be at some point in that phasing of this program being implemented. The other thing is the ability to manage one account that covers multiple riders. So if you're a family, you have multiple riders in your family, you can have one account and you can put all of your family members on their account and then pay through a single funding source and manage their cards all through that account. If you're coming to visit that example today, because it's having some difficulty, but if you're coming to visit them on incline for the day and want to ride the incline to go up to Mount Washington, instead of having to buy individual tickets to ride the incline for all your family members or your friends, you can do it all off your smartphone. Just pay for it globally on your smartphone, and all of the tickets are there, and then you pay with your smartphone. These are maybe minor pain points, but they help our system become more convenient. What you're seeing visually on the screen, and I'll just describe it, that some of the marketing material that people are going to experience as roll out of this over the next few months. And we can switch to the next slide, please. Because this is a system-wide change and change is hard, it's important to note that there are things not changing and that will help us because we're not fundamentally changing the habits people have in buying and using their credit instruments. If you use cash today, you can still use cash once this change is in place. If you use a smart card to tap on a vehicle, you can do that. It'll just be a different one. If you use mobile pay, you can use mobile pay. The vending machines will be there. They will be different machines though. So the point here is that fundamentally the system we have in place doesn't go away. It's just changing on top of that. That provides a little bit more opportunity. This slide, what is ready for? So I just wanted to point out that here that Ready Fair is both the name of the new card. It replaces the Kinect card, and it's also the brand identity for this family of fair instruments that we will have in our system once this is in place. There's the mobile and the digital, the online products and opportunities. Ready to Ride is the most notable that's been in place now for a handful of years. I think we're actually going over 4 to 5 years now. Once the card is in place, that will become the new smart card instrument that bulk of our ridership uses today. And of course, we have some limited use ticket products that people use. This will all fall under that Ready Fair naming umbrella. Implementation. So this is the easy one. No. We have a lot of different rider groups. We have full fare riders, reduced fare. We have a number of pass programs throughout our system. We have our senior card program, and we have UPass, job cards. So we have to find ways to reach each one of these audiences individually and help walk them through this. For the bulk of our riders, if you are a rider today, if you use the Kinect card, you are going to get a pamphlet in the mail that we're going to send directly to you. And that's become sort of a cornerstone of our implementation plan. It's that we're going to be proactive. We're going to reach you. We're going to find you. We're going to send you something at your home that gives you some very easy steps as to how to go about making this change. We're not going to ask you to come downtown to the service center or ask you to do anything. You can manage this from your own home. And if you tell us you're a Kinect card rider, you want the Ready Fair card, we'll send it to you and then it'll give you instructions on how to create that account and turn your Ready Fair account on so that it's usable. And if you need help switching your money from your Kinect card to your Ready Fair card, we're going to help you with that too. If you need help, customer service is going to be trained specifically to help assist people that you call in. An agent will help walk people through that process. Again, they don't have to come downtown. Going back to the Kinect card change, decade plus, that was the way we changed it. One had to come downtown and get a card. So times have changed. Technology is wonderful, and we can support a process like this that's both proactive and allows people to do this from wherever they are. We'll be out. Community outreach will be. We will be able to do some things through the colder months, but once the warmer months hits and we're out about in communities, we will have takeaway packets with cards in them that people can walk away with. That helps them set up their accounts. And our community outreach team is going to be very aggressive through this time frame. That would be their sole focus, is to push hard. So what happens next? Right now, we're working with our retail network. We're trying to get the Giant Eagles, the Goodwill locations, and Coons and other stores that provide our products up and running. They need new materials, they need some training, and they will be ready as a result of that. And we're also reaching out with all of those individual fair program partners like county DHS program, and with our legislative network for senior cards, we're going to be working with those offices directly because they will both have questions and want to know what to tell their constituents, the customers that have engaged with them, and they're going to want some training. So right now, that's what's happening. riders will start getting information from us starting in January. The main changes in our system and the equipment starts to actually change out. That comes more in March, April timeframe. So we'll be back to update the board probably in February, right ahead of that, let you know where we're at that point and what the maybe more specific timeline going forward will look like. And I'm happy to answer any questions. And I really do want to just take a second. I get to come up and talk through all this, but there's an army of people behind me who do a ton of work to make sure that our public process is logical and simple, that people understand it. Takes a lot of work. So I just want to thank them.
Jim, if you mentioned this, I overlooked it. I apologize. There's going to be an overlap between the Connect card system operating and the new Ready card system.
Yes, there will be an overlap, and I can speak to the public communication and what we're trying to do from the standpoint of getting cards in people's hands and getting their accounts ready. The marketing campaign is it's Ready Fair, so the marketing campaign really centers on the Ready, Set, Go theme. 3 phases. 1, ready, make sure people are aware. We want people to actually hear too much. You know, we've heard it, please go away. I know it's coming. Set is that yellow brochure, which people, once they know about the card, they've done something to get a new card, they contacted us, they've filled out a form, responded that they're now getting a card, they're getting their account set up. Go is we're telling them, hey, you're already set up, you have your card, you can use it, now the equipment's changing. So, you know, at that point, from an implementation standpoint, getting those cards in their hands and gives them the ability to make that change. The equipment change, Tom, that's maybe not going to be as clean, might be vending machines at stations. You might be at one station and you still have a Connect card machine, another station might not have been changed out yet, and it's going to have the Ready Fair equipment on vehicles. That process is going to take, it's going to be phased in over a longer period of time. So we don't think that's going to be as disruptive for riders actually when they're boarding vehicles.
Any other questions?
I think for the most part, the plan is to pull out a machine today and then put in a new one in the same spot. Yeah.
Once it gets me out, we'll be where they are. But stuff like with them as well. If it will track it, that's the minimum stuff. Yeah.
Yes. There's a number of marketing channels, outreach channels, PR that will overlap through that January through March timeframe. And then honestly, as some of these other pieces fall into place later in the year, like when the credit cards that technology becomes available, we're going to want to promote that specifically. Outreach, there's a lot more events, you know, in the warmer months in communities, tends to die down a little bit over the colder months. We are looking for opportunities though in through the winter to do some of that if we can. Carnegie Library has always been a partner for us, and they've always offered their space. We may be able to do some things like that. But initially reaching people digitally who are interested in mobile, it's an easy thing to do, even as bold, and the direct mail is something we can do ahead of the outreach.
Any other questions? Thank you, Jim. That concludes the technology report. Do I have a motion to adjourn? So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody. We'll be together next Friday.